Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Livewire. Mike Thomas with you. And this morning we have a real treat for you. We're going to visit actually with two local authors, although in the second half our other local author is going to be here in the capacity of the Warrenton Chamber of Commerce. And we'll talk with Jan Oliarnik, but she has written some children's books herself. But the first half, we're going to talk to, I guess we can add author to his list of many other accomplishments. Norman Mcfadden joins us here in the studio. And doggone, I was talking off the air, Norm, when I first met you come in, you had a snake draped around your neck and you were wrestling.
Yeah.
You've progressed just a little bit since that time, haven't you? So
I've been retired probably about 20 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a good while. I retired in 96.
Yeah. But that was kind of everybody knew you as a snake man for so long. And I told you when I mentioned that you were coming on, that's first words I heard, oh, snake man. So that kind of hung with you, didn't it?
Yeah, Snake Man and Stormin' Norman. A lot of people knows me by Stormin' Norman.
Yeah.
I went back and did a couple cage matches. I thought I was young again. At 58, I fought a 19-year-old, and I decided I wasn't young no more.
No, that's
I quit.
Yeah, at that point, you're like, never mind. So, well, maybe we can talk about some of that later on. But the reason you're here, you've written a new book called Legends of Leeper Holler, and we'll talk about what Leeper Holler is and all that. But this is something, I guess, is kind of a labor of love and took a lot of people to kind of help you put together, didn't it?
It took a lot of work. Nobody would touch me in the United States when I first came out with the book. I've been working on it for a while. So I had to go to Canada, get a publisher to publish one story in a storybook of all kinds of stories. Then after I got that done, I came back and Poston House Publisher, where you can buy the book at postonhouse.com, and Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but they said they'd publish it for me. And they seen talent in me. They read it. They really liked it. They got a video out of it on YouTube. And I'd like to thank them for having confidence in me. And I'd like to put credit where credit belongs, and that's in God. Because God gave me the talent to write, an amazing family to write about.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. This is all real-life stuff that you wrote about, right?
Most of it is. It's in the fiction because it's got legends in it, but a lot of it, it's two books in one. It's got the Legends of Leeper Hollow, and then it's got stories about my childhood. I had an amazing childhood. It was like a little Tom Sawyer book. And I'd like to discuss a few stories in it, but I'd like to really, if you let me, tell you about Leeper, because a lot of people say,
well, yeah, I want to learn about that. But before we talk about at what point did you realize that you wanted to write a book? Because, like I said, you've done a lot of things, but you also often hear that we all have a book in us if we just put pen to paper. Is that what kind of happened with you? You decided
we all got stories in us.
Yeah,
I remember when I was a kid, and I still do. I love talking to really older people because their life is amazing. If you just sit down and let them tell their story. And that's what I did in the book. A lot of stuff, it's just the legends it told to me by the older people that I talked to when I was a kid.
It's funny you say it, because our late owner, Mr. Casper, passed away in January. I used to tell him all the time, you need to write all this down. It would have been about 95 volumes, mind you, but because he visited everywhere in the world. But some of the stories he could share, I always thought, boy, there were some great stories there that it's unfortunate they weren't put down on paper like that. So I credit you with doing that. Now, but Leeper Holler, first of all, where is Leeper Holler?
Well, a lot of people never heard of Leeper or Leeper Hollow, but they'd heard of Clearwater Lake. That's in Piedmont, Missouri. And Leeper Hollow is about 7 miles south of Piedmont.
Okay.
And old man General Leeper discovered Leeper. He came in there right before the Civil War, and he bought about 2,000 acres, built him a mansion back here, and of course he had slaves before the Civil War. And when the Civil War broke out, he went and fought for the South, got him a bunch of men together and fought for the South. And when the South lost, now he's crazy. He is crazy. When he came back, they said he had to free the slaves, and he wouldn't do it. He took them up on the mountain and shot them all.
Oh,
and
my
that's
goodness.
how crazy he is, you know. But he's the one where Leeper got his name, and that's not a good start. But
no, but that's probably why you don't
hear.
hear much about him too, is because they tried to bury him kind of with the bad guys, if you will.
Yeah.
So, wow, I did not know that story, and that happened right here in Missouri.
That happened right down in southern Missouri, right about 30 miles from Pop Bluff.
Wow.
We get to Pop Bluff.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. I had heard a lot of amazing stories down there, and I said, well, this got to be put on paper so other people can share in on these stories.
Mm-hmm.
I lived next door to this old man named Doc Hartley. You know, everybody's called Doc, but I didn't even know his first name. I was about 7. I bet he's 100-year-old. It's in the book. And he said he rode with Jesse James.
No kidding.
And he said Jesse James robbed a train down at Gadge Hill. And I did research, and he did. And that he was in on that robbery, and he was about 13. And they buried the gold from the train down there. The story's in the book, and he dug for it forever. He dug 1,000 holes.
Never did find it, though.
Jesse buried it. It's in the story how Jesse went out in the woods and buried him himself. And he said he dug 1,000 holes, couldn't find it. He knew right where the camp was and everything. But he couldn't find it.
Do you have a favorite story in this book?
Oh, I kind of like his first story. It's kind of a story from the Adventures of Little Mac. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, Little Mac's me.
He's you,
because that's what everybody called me, Little Mac. My grandpa was a moonshiner. And my grandpa was a moonshiner.
Mine, too.
Was he?
Yeah.
But me and my cousin was staying all night with me, and he had the idea we'll get up early and follow Grandpa back to his moonshine still. We was about 7 or 8 year old. So we hid outside the back door and waited till Grandpa come out. He had a shotgun and a tow sack, and he went back in the woods there. And we followed him for, I guess, a mile or two, up a hill, down a hill, and got back where this little creek ran up through a valley. We followed him. We stayed away behind. He got up there and at the end of the creek, and it ran into a hill, ran out of the hill like, a spring. And I knew that with the healing spring. Everybody talked about a healing spring that would heal people. I had one guy had some skin disease, and he went up there and laid in it. The skin disease supposed to have been healed up.
Kind of like a spa type thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. And we waited and watched him mess with the steel. And when he got done messing with the steel, we went down there. He took off and got out of sight. We went down there and we said, we're going to try some of this moonshine. It was in mason jars, And I told him to try it first. He said, oh, no, I'm not going to try it first. He said, you try it first. So we said, well, we'll count to 3. So we said 1, we took the lid off. 2, we put it up their mouth. And 3, we started drinking, and that burnt from our lips down down in our stomach, felt like a ball of fire. I looked at my cousin Junior, and we ran. At the same time, we had the same thought, we're going to jump in that spring and start drinking that water. So we jumped in that spring and started drinking that water. That was not good. That cold water that got in there made it worse.
I was going to say, yeah, you just put a little ice in that drink is what you did. So.
And we started getting sick, and we heard a noise behind us, and it was the gun clicking. And it was Grandpa back there with his double-barrel shotgun.
Oh, no.
And we looked around at him. He said, I think I killed both of you with 1 bullet. He said, I buried a few people up on this hill, found my steel. And to my surprise, my cousin Junior looked at him. He said, go ahead and shoot me. He said, it's die fast from you shooting me or me die slowly from this moonshine of yours. And to my surprise, Grandpa pulled the trigger.
Did he really?
But he didn't have the gun loaded.
Yeah, it had scared you just a little bit.
Oh, it scared us both to death.
I bet you didn't bother moonshine anymore, did you?
No, he told me and my cousin, he said, you don't tell nobody where our moonshine is. He said, I'll get you more Christmas present on Christmas. And my cousin said, you don't get me Christmas present. He said, well, I will now. But he took us and bought us $5 worth of candy, and $5 is like $50 these days,
Yeah.
And went back there about a month later. That moonshine still was gone. He moved it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of see why, because you're kids, Kids talk, whether you want to or not. Kids talk.
He knew we'd tell someone.
Yeah. So.
We never did.
No kidding.
Never did.
Did he ever get caught?
Huh?
Did your grandpa ever get caught?
No, he got caught a couple times, but he was friends with the judge. Matter of fact, the judge even took him out of the jail, let him babysit his kid at night when they went out. Him and his wife. It's kind of a little town down there.
Sure.
And Grandpa was well known for 50 miles that he was the only moonshiner around, so everybody knew they had to get moonshine, so they let him out.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, those are great stories, though. I can see why people would be taken to these stories and what I like about it is you tried to put the dialect that you guys use down there in some of your stories too. The little bits that I've seen. So folks really, you kind of feel like you're right there with you.
The editor that edited my book, they said we need to take some of this hillbilly slang out. I said, no, you take the hillbilly slang out, you take away from the character of the story.
Right, the personality's gone.
Because that's the way they talk. So the editor put a thing in here. He said that just once he thought it'd be all right to leave the hillbilly slang in there. So they left it in there.
So now you said you've got it's basically two books in one. Okay, you've got the story of Little Mac, yourself as a kid. And what are the legends? When you talk about legends, what do you mean by legends?
Well, like I said, when I was little and still today, I like talking to the older people because they got stories they can tell. And like I said, this one old man said he rode with Jesse James, and he told me some good stories, and there's one of a couple of real good ones in here that he told me. But there was another legend about the boy that ran on his all fours. He ran like a dog. And my uncle told me that story. He owned a liquor store up on top of Leeper Hill, and he was about the richest man in town. But he was walking through the Flatwoods one day, and you don't go in the Flatwood at night, and he was walking in there at nighttime, and he heard a noise behind him, and he turned around, and there was a boy running on his all fours with a pack of wolves behind him. And the story's really more interesting in the way I'm telling it because I can't get into
Well,
details.
I don't want you to give too much because we want people to buy the book.
But they chased him down. He shot he said he shot him twice, but I don't know what he did or not. He might have been so scared and missed him. But that boy chased him all the way to Leeper Holler, and he ran in Doc Hartley's house and stayed in there all night. He was so scared. And the story, really, it's true, I think, because they were people camping back in the Flatwoods 20 years before this happened, and a 2-year-old boy got lost, run away from the camp, crawled away from camp or whatever, and they couldn't find him nowhere, that 2-year-old boy.
So you think maybe this boy on all fours
So they think the wolves raised him. What
really?
They're thinking. That's what everybody's thinking. Because he ran with a pack of wolves and ran on his all fours. It's a pretty good story. And there's a story about Bigfoot in there.
Yeah, I saw the Bigfoot story. Tell me just a little bit about that. The Nipperwoods Bigfoot, is that right?
Nipperwood, yeah. Yeah, Doc Hartley, he was the old man that lived next door. He drunk a lot of moonshine. And there was an old one-armed man that lived up the road. And they were both up in their 90s at least. And he had one arm. He got his arm cut off in a sawmill. But they decided to go blackberry picking over in Nipper Hollow. And they got over in there, and they picking blackberry, found a big old patch of them. And Doc said that they heard a noise coming down the hill, and they looked up there, and it was the hairiest-looking thing, big, about 7 foot tall, coming at them. And every time he hit the ground like this, the berries would fall out of the bucket. He shook it so much. So he said he got down there, they hid behind a tree, and he got down there where the blackberry patch was, and looking around, there wasn't no blackberry, because Doc and Tuffy just picked them. So Doc got kind of scared, and he threw the blackberries down, and Bigfoot or whatever it was started eating the blackberries, and Doc got froze. He froze up. Tuffy said he took off running, threw his blackberry down, took off running, fell down a hill and hit his head on a rock and knocked himself out. And he said he laid there for a little bit, and then he went back, and Doc was still standing there froze. And he said he brought him back home, and they was all tore up, and Doc didn't remember the whole thing after that.
Wow.
But Tuffy did. Tuffy said that thing got up in his face and screamed so hollow, so loud, that false teeth fell out on the ground. This is a lot of funny stories. It's kind of like a Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, just good old folksy humor. I mean, what are you hoping to accomplish with this? I mean, just share stories?
I just like to get it out there and people share the stories with them, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy them because there's humor in them, there's adventure in them, And there's just so much stuff they're going to like. It's in it.
Yeah, and what I like about it is you can sit down and read one chapter at a time. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the book all being connected and everything like that. You can read it that way if you want. It's not a thick book, so you could probably read it in one night setting. But if you just want a story to a night, you can sit down and just do a chapter a night and really enjoy and get nice little stories. Because the pictures you're painting right here, I just in my mind I can just envision it. It's just sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Very interesting. The Good Reading Book Club gave it a 5-star, and I'm really tickled they done that. Didn't know it was that good, but and I'd had people write me on Facebook, and some of them said they couldn't put the book down when they started.
That's great.
And one said they was amazed with it.
Yeah.
So I'm really
have you sent any copies down toward this area, Leeper Holler? Is there anybody still living down there?
Oh yeah, it's not a town no more. The
Right.
post office and all the stores are tore down, and the school tore down. But my sister still lives down there,
Yeah.
and my cousins.
So you're going to share it with them, obviously.
Yeah, they bought it off Amazon.
Did they?
It's sold on Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Right. We're going to do a book signing. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the book signing, a little bit more about the book, and make sure folks find out where they can get their hands on it. Again, Legends of Leeper Holler. Norman Mcfadden's with us. We'll come back with more on Livewire right after this. Welcome back to Livewire. We're visiting with Norman Mcfadden. He's the author of the book Legends of Leeper Hollow. Norm, from right here in our area. Matter of fact, you still have your ministry as well? Do you still?
Yeah, I still president of the Glory Riders Ministry. We got 2 soup kitchens that we started, and we got a clothes ministry where we give shoes and clothes out to people that needs them.
Mm-hmm. So as I said, you've done a lot, and now we can put author and add that to the list of things. This book, when did this book come out?
It came out about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, it's called Legends of Leeper Holler, and if you want to get a signed copy, you've got an event coming up this weekend and then next weekend. Both of them in Troy, right?
Yeah, both in Troy. One's going to be at Powell Library in Troy, and the other one's going to be at the Cornerstone Cafe in Troy.
Okay, and there'll be 9 till noon this April 7th. When is that? Saturday?
That's on Saturday. Both of them are.
Okay, both of them are. The other one 9 to noon, but the one at the Powell Memorial Library 9 to noon. Again, you can go up there and catch up. It's on College Street, by the way, and catch up with Norm there, or go to Cornerstone Coffee, and that's on Cherry Street in Troy from 9 till noon, and that's on the 14th. So
that's on the 14th, and we will have books there. If you don't order any offline, we will have books there to sell.
They can purchase them at that point. Okay, how much is the book?
$10 if you buy them from me. You go online. Time you get shipping and everything, it runs about $12.
Okay, I'd rather buy it directly from the author anyway. That has a little more specialness to it, So.
Now then I can add a little note in there to you.
You betcha. And we should mention now, if this thing does take off the way I think it's going to, you've already got a commitment that they'll do a sequel type book with 10 more stories. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I wrote 20 stories, and they decided to just print 10 and see how it does. And if it goes well, there'll be, in about 2 years, there'll be another one come out.
Wow.
With 10 stories.
Mm-hmm. And by then, you'll probably have 10 more you want to just keep the series going. That'd be kind of fun. So.
It'd be a good way to be retired, but I don't think I ever going to retire.
I don't think you. I know you better than that. You're never going to retire.
Working for God most of the time.
Yeah, but what a great way to share stories. And what I like about this book is, again, they're fun stories. They're little stories where you can tell you're a little bit of a hellion at times, but they're all good, clean family fun as well. Though you can have some fun with it, can't you?
I actually used to tell these stories to my kids for bedtime stories.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just I think it's wonderful. And again, there's some fact, there's some fiction. You're not out here trying to write a history book or anything like that. But I think it will give people a good snapshot of what it was like to grow up down south, back in that particular era. I
actually think everybody's going to enjoy it, because some stories you're going to laugh on, and some stories you're going to cry on. Some of them sad, because there's some discuss some things that happened down there that murder happened in, and of course they would name change. We don't want to protect the innocent. Mm-hmm. But I think you're going to enjoy it. You'll laugh, cry, and just enjoy the whole book.
Well, and again, I think at times people talk about Southern Missouri, immediately think hillbillies. but they don't understand the lifestyle. The elbow room, I think, is probably a good way. I'm glad that's your first chapter, because that's going to kind of explain to people the living conditions you had and what it was like growing up there. But you didn't, I don't think you didn't seem to mind then, did you?
You know, we didn't really, back in them days, we didn't know we was poor, because everybody was poor.
Exactly.
You know, we didn't realize it, and my house was filled with love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, love counts a lot. You know, we was actually a closer family than the people that lives in the mansion are.
I bet.
Because we was there, and Mom, everything she did with love. My dad, he went out and worked and brought living home, and he did it because he loved us, and he put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom did something when I was a kid, and I didn't understand it. You know, sometimes there wasn't enough food to go around. And when we all sit down to eat, we say table grace, and all of a sudden she decided she wasn't hungry. And I didn't understand then what she was doing. Mm-hmm. But she was just making so we'd had enough food. And it brings a tear to my eye right now.
Well, still, yeah. That's what you hear about moms doing, you know? Yeah. Those are great. And you dedicated your book to your mother and father, didn't you?
To my mom and dad, yes. Yeah. They were loving people.
That's fantastic. Well, folks, you get the chance going up to Powell Library this Saturday, 9 to noon, or Cornerstone Cafe on Cherry Street in Troy on the 14th from 9 to noon. Meet Norm, talk with him about, you probably have stories, maybe some of you folks from down that area, and you can share some stories that you can relate to with Norm, and just sit down and talk about it. And he might even talk a little wrestling with you, I guess, if you want to. You know, there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. You don't have the snake no more, though, do you?
No, I got rid of my... Matter of fact, it's over Joe's Safari.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's he did have a picture of me on the cage.
Okay, I've not been over there here of late, so I'll have to look for the Snake Man again. So, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
You betcha, buddy. Good luck with the book, Legends of Leeper Holler, Norman Mcfadden. We'll take a short commercial break. We'll come back. We're going to visit with Jan from the Warrenton Chamber after this.